Stacey, it's so good to have you on the show today. I know that where I'm sitting right now looks familiar to you because this is your stomping ground.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hi,
Yep.
Eva. Thanks for having me. I really
I'm
look forward to being able to share with the community and this opportunity that you're giving us to share with all of the work that A Place for Women and Oahu Pregnancy Center have been doing on the island of Oahu. So thank you so much.
No, it's absolutely great. And I know that like a place for women is such a bastion of hope. And so there might be people that might kind of be familiar with a place for women. They kind of know where you are. They drive by Calvary and then they see this beautiful door. And so some people may be familiar with it and some people may not be familiar with it. But, our goal today is to really let people know that there's a place, there's a lighthouse in the community for them to go when they have some needs. So I'll let you share a little bit about that ministry.
Okay, well, Eva, actually, first, what I would like to do is share with you and your audience Ava's story to get us going. Are you okay with that?
I'm okay. And just for our listeners, she said Ava, not Eva.
Yes.
So it's not my story. You don't want to hear my story. You want to hear Ava's story.
Yes. So, Eva, you notice this video points out that life on Earth nowadays is a series of moments and memories on social media. It's very relatable to us. Laura and her doctor took away all those sweet memories that happen in life. This story focuses on Ava and Laura, her mom, but doesn't say that much about the father. But he's missed out on these moments as well with his daughter. Men are impacted by abortion. And sometimes it takes years for a woman or a man to understand what they actually threw away when they terminated their child. The end of this video points out Psalms 82. Christians are called to protect the weak and the vulnerable, but it also says these people have neither knowledge nor understanding and walk about in the darkness. Laura may have made a decision in the dark. We at A Place for Women try to shine the light into that darkness so that the Lauras can have understanding before making a decision to throw away precious life. This video was created by an organization called Preborn, and they partner with our center and many others around the country and actually provide free ultrasounds machine from us. They're a fantastic organization. But let's go ahead and move into maybe just a little bit about A Place for Women and our history on the island and how we go about shining light into that darkness. So Sue Skinner at a Calvary Chapel, Pearl Harbor, she started A Place for Women as an outreach of her women's ministry at Calvary Chapel, Pearl Harbor, because she wanted to do something to care for the women and the families in the community. She wanted women to have a safe place to rest their hearts, get educated, and learn about Jesus. God provided everything for Sue and a place for women to not only open their doors, but to quickly become a medical clinic. A place for women was formed to help a societal problem that needs a Christian response. Only Jesus, his love, grace, and forgiveness can heal the world. Women are being deceived into thinking things like abortion is health care and safe, though a successful abortion always kills a human life. That it's easy, it fixes a problem so that they can continue with their lives like it never existed. But fixing one perceived problem unknowingly can create other long-term issues. A place for women strives to be a compassionate answer to educate the women in both medical and spiritual truths. So Eva, what are our services? First of all, I want you to know that all our services are free and confidential. We are a HIPAA compliant medical clinic. We're upfront and honest that our clinic does not perform or refer for abortion. They're told on the website, phone, and sign documentation that explains the limitation of our services before ever moving past the lobby door. It is the patient's choice if she wants to receive our services. Our non-medical services include options consultation, material supplies, community education, online parenting and life skills classes, life-affirming community referrals, including adoption, childbirth education, and abortion recovery help.
Let me just interrupt real quick because I know this is so helpful for people that are listening and watching, because so many times people think that our pregnancy resource centers are only focused on one thing. And this right here is proof that you're doing so much more. So thank you for making that very clear.
Yes. And then regarding our medical services, which is the reason most abortion vulnerable and minded women come and see us, they're very limited though. We offer on-site pregnancy testing and limited scope obstetric ultrasound. Now, most women come to us for that ultrasound. And even if they're calling and looking for help in getting an abortion, we tell them we don't do that. But let me tell you how we can help you. And one way is, do you know if your pregnancy is viable, right? You need an ultrasound to determine that, because if it's not viable, I mean, we all know women that have had miscarriages, and a certain percent of pregnancies end naturally with miscarriage. There's no reason for an abortion. Well, the abortion industry is trying to remove ultrasound as part of the abortion pill protocol. There's locations that are not even requiring proof of a viable pregnancy before administering an abortion. And that's harmful for more than one reason. There's also the risk of an ectopic pregnancy. So that's where we can help these women. And with our ultrasound, we're confirming if that's viable, if they even need to make a decision, and we're confirming that it's not an ectopic pregnancy. And through that process, they get the education, the opportunity to discuss their situation, other ways they might want to go, their feelings about this, and yes, even how it impacts their faith. And a lot of women want to have that conversation. Ultimately, the decision is theirs, but we're there to support them no matter what they decide. If they decide to have the baby, we're going to come alongside them with material supplies, education, mentoring. If they decide to have an abortion, we're there if they start having a hard time and need to go through recovery and talk to somebody. So I just want your audience to know that we are compassionate in everything that we do, and we're truthful on all medical and spiritual aspects of this process. I don't know how many in your audience know that we have a mobile medical clinic. So some of you may have seen it on the road, but I wanted to give you a quick tour. This is something that we added in 2021, and right now it's in 2 locations, in Kapolei Eva area at the Kroc Center and down at Kaka'ako in the Salt area. So here's a tour of our clinic. Aloha. Today we're taking a tour of Oahu Pregnancy Center's mobile medical clinic. We wanted to bring a medical clinic on island to go into the community where people live and need the services. We provide free ultrasounds, pregnancy testing, as well as options consultation. When you walk onto the clinic, you will notice it looks very comfortable, and it is. And it's also very professional looking. In this area is when the options consultation will happen. We only use evidence-based medical information to share with the women and men who need our services. And we hope at the end of the consultation that they'll see that they have a support system and that there is hope for their dreams and their children. We're really about building up families. To the right is a nurse's station, and to the left is a restroom where pregnancy tests are administered. Now, as we go into the ultrasound room, you'll see that it is actually a rather large space. It's very comfortable for probably up to 4 people. And we also have pocket doors that close and lock in place. That is for the privacy of the woman. This vehicle is actually HIPAA compliant to hold 2 patients at one time with these locking doors. In this room, the woman gets to see if her pregnancy is viable, see life in the womb, so that she has the information that she needs to make a decision on her pregnancy. So we've actually had a wonderful response with this mobile clinic in the community. We really want to be part of those local communities where people are doing life, so they get to know us. And when they come across this unplanned pregnancy, they feel comfortable coming to us. And we have been seeing that. We have had people waiting in the parking lot for the mobile clinic or calling us from the neighborhood. Hey, we saw you the last few weeks. We want to come down. So that's really nice that we're starting to make those community connections and that they're calling us first. So that's really the goal of that, is to do community with them. So let's talk a little bit about who's getting abortions. And we're going to talk about Hawaii specifically. A lot of people are surprised when they hear this. Now, you've obviously done research, so you know this stuff, but your audience might have some questions about it. So the Kaiser Family Foundation has put together their information, and you'll see here 55% of the people getting abortions were in the 20-year-old age bracket. Makes sense. Starting their careers out, finishing college, not really established yet in their life usually. But then the next biggest category is actually the 30-year-olds, and that kind of surprises people. They think of the 16-year-old teenager. And yes, we do have the 16-year-old teenager cases, but I'll show you our demographics for last year at a place for women. And here you'll see we somewhat similar. 58% were in the 20-year-olds. 16% were in the teens, so it was a little bit higher than what they were tracking, and 26% was over 30. Now, I wanted to share actually a story with you, but first I do want to mention, because a lot of people are surprised by this, that a majority of abortion patients, 59%, had at least one previous birth. So if you think about that, they felt life in the womb previously. And
for people that have been watching our podcasts, Stacey, they know my story, and I went through that same choice. I had already had a child, and I was pregnant with my daughter, and there was a short time period, Stacey, where for myself, really, and I was in that age group. I was about 26 at the time, and I thought, I cannot do this. But I definitely chose life, and my younger daughter is here. And it's interesting that we're talking about this because my older daughter did not know that, and she saw the show, and she was crying, and she said, "Mom, thank you so much for not taking my sister away from me."
Oh, see, it does.
So this is so awesome. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes. So I wanted to show you a story of a woman that came through our center that does not fit the normal demographics, but she has a lot of aspects of her story that we see over and over again. So here is this brave woman's story.
Say my pregnancy was unplanned seems like an understatement. I was already a 40-year-old single mom with other children, and life was not easy. After having an affair with a coworker, I found out I was pregnant. I decided to tell him about the pregnancy. He wanted me to terminate it. In my situation, I did not see a lot of options. I found myself searching the internet for abortion information in my area. That is how I found a place for women in Waipio. What caught my attention was the free ultrasound. I think I needed to see the baby to make sure this was all really happening. A place for women in Waipio was so welcoming and very professional. I really needed someone to talk to that wasn't a friend or someone that knew me. I wanted to talk to someone in a neutral environment. I was so happy to see my baby on the screen. The baby was real and moving, and it just brought me to tears. As I left, it was still all very overwhelming. I could only see the problems in front of me. I could not afford this child. How would I tell my other children and family? The father of the baby did not seem to want to help. How could I do this alone? I could not see past the obstacles to the joy a child could add to my life as a new family member. I actually ended up going to my abortion appointment. But before getting the abortion, I remembered the ultrasound I received at a place for women, and I asked the abortion clinic to see the baby again. I walked out, and I kept my child. Ultrasounds are so important. They showed me that my son was real. Seeing him made me realize that I had a living person in me. After deciding to have my son, a place for women stood by me with support. They offered supplies through their baby boutique, including clothes for myself. They gave me local resources to help with other situations. I attended their free childbirth education classes. I love my son so much, and I'm so happy I didn't follow through with the abortion. I will forever be grateful for a place for women in Waipio and for the free services they offered me. It was life-changing and life-saving.
Isn't that baby precious?
Absolutely. Brings tears to my eyes.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the reasons why women get abortion. Eva, so what are some reasons that you can come up with?
Financial,
Mm-hmm.
emotional, maybe they don't get along with the boyfriend, or and I'm not sure, but would there be some religious reasons too? Maybe people are afraid of judgment, family reactions. And
Right.
I hope that this is not one of them, but maybe the boyfriend pressuring them to
Mm-hmm.
do so.
Could be boyfriend, could be dad, could be mom, or grandma, just someone in their life. We do definitely see that. Well, I want to take a look at this a little bit closer. And I want to use some documentation from actually the state of Florida. They do things a little differently in Florida than Hawaii. You may be aware of that. But they do.
No, the free state of
Yeah,
Florida is
they
what Jim
do.
Hochberg would say.
They actually require everybody that gets an abortion to state a reason. Okay. And so let's look at the reasons that people give. And I want you to go to the bottom of the list, actually. 74%, no reason, just elective. This is just what I want. 21%, the woman aborted for social and economic issues. Now, the 4.5% above that, of course, you and I could debate with people that there's no really good reason for abortion. But I want to talk about this 95.5%, which in the state of Florida that year represented 76,225 lives from just that year, is for social, economic, and just because I want to reasons. Maybe it wasn't part of their plan. Maybe it is, financial, the reasons that you gave.
But isn't that the message of Planned Parenthood, right? Is that it's the woman's choice. And so
Exactly.
they don't allow, I've never heard in all their propaganda, like, well, it's a woman's choice, but here are some of the things that might cause you to make that choice. It's just about, no, you do what you want. It's your body.
Right. Well, we at a Place for Women in Wahoo Pregnancy Center have the privilege and opportunity to help them navigate through those pressures and help them to see that some of these are temporary situations, right? We can actually help them to see a path other than abortion and that there's hope for them and their child. There's a lot of resources out there to connect them to and people that want to help. They need to not feel alone. Okay. So they need to know that they can have their dreams and their children. Because a lot of times they're deceived to think they can't do both. And that's just a lie. The biggest issue, though, that we have in educating our patients is the battle of conflicting worldviews. The years of culture chipping away at the biblical value of life has created a battle of worldviews. Years ago, women with an unexpected pregnancy used to think, what do I or we have to do to sacrifice in our lives to have this child? Now the thought seems to be, is it worth sacrificing my child for the life I want? There was a sacrifice shift from child first to self first. This worldview battle between biblical perspective of the sanctity of human life versus the worldly perspective of a perceived quality of life is at the heart of the abortion issue. Without a solid foundation that we are specially made in the image of God, people can fall into the subjective quality of life side very quickly. The reality is the Lord sees all people the same. They all have value. Here is a precious child that came through our medical clinic. We met him when he was 6 weeks and 1 day old in the womb. You can barely see him on that ultrasound. His value did not change from that day to the day he was born. It is the same human, just in a different place at a different time. Look at that smile, Eva.
I'm dying.
If any of our partners are watching this, please know that you made a difference right there. What can your audience do to help with this issue if they want to? We're all on the same mission, right? To protect the image of God. First thing they can do is be a life ambassador. What might that look like? Well, it's going to be educating themselves and their friends on the biblical view of the sanctity of life. Every decision we make comes back to the Bible when we're Christians. That's our benchmark. So that's where we need to go. So understanding that biblical perspective, digging in on your own to understand it is very important. Now, beyond that, there's some great programs out there to educate us. CareNet is one of our affiliates. They have a program called Making Life Disciples, and it creates great training. It's kind of made for a small group environment in churches, and it just helps people of the church understand the issue, the post-abortive woman, the abortion vulnerable woman, how to walk alongside them practically and continue discipleship through the process. Now, on their site, this is actually a study I wanted to show your viewers because this is how Making Life Disciples was born, the program. CareNet did a research project with Lifeways, and in it, they found that 54% of women having an abortion identify as Protestant or Catholic, okay? And that's actually from Guttmacher. 4 out of 10 of the women attending a church once a month or more at the time of their first abortion, that's huge. They're sitting in the pews and in the congregations the month that they're having their abortion. Then Lifeways decided in 2015 they needed to do some research on the men. So they found that 5 in 10 men were attending a church once a month or more at the time of their partner's first abortion. So that's why it's so important for the churches to teach the sanctity of life, not just once a year, not twice a year. Throughout all their teaching, it needs to become the DNA of the church, and it needs to be taught to the youth so that they have that foundation, so that if they do make a mistake as they're growing up and they get in a situation, they know all life has value. And then if they end up having to come to a place like us, we can have a great conversation and their foundation is strong. So another thing.
And I know, no, I was just going to say that this is all such good information, and I know our time is getting really, really short, but what you're saying is so important. So please continue, but just letting you know our time is getting there.
Okay. So another thing that pastors or church members can tell their pastors about is becoming a house of refuge. And it's through a group called lovelife.org. Love Life is on the mainland, and they are creating a map of churches that say, we are a house of refuge. Pastors, you can help prevent abortion from happening in your congregation, provide healing for those affected by previous abortions, protect the unborn and vulnerable. And pastors sign up for this, sign a statement saying they will support women and walk alongside and disciple them within the church. I'd love to see the map of Oahu lit up with dots of House of Refuge churches to show that we're strong in our commitment to life. So then also being willing to step in and talk to a friend that might be in a situation. Be that person to help. We have seen coworkers bring their friends in and lives changed and saved because somebody took the time to talk to them and drive them to their appointment. So don't be afraid to speak up. Beneva, you're going to like this one. Vote your values.
Oh, yeah. I know people are sick of voting.
Yes, vote biblical values. We would have a totally different look on how life is in Hawaii and across the country if people did that. If you have a post-abortive friend, male or female, encourage them to seek a post-abortive Bible study. The healing we have seen through these studies is amazing. Then also partner with us by using time, talents, finances, and prayer. I put prayer last, but you know the last should be first.
Right.
Okay. This is a spiritual battle, and prayer is very important. A Place for Women, Oahu Pregnancy Center, wants to open a third location on the windward side of the island. We need more resources to do that. We need people, we need nurses, and we need finances to make that happen, to open up on that windward side for free ultrasound.
It's all such helpful information, and I really cannot add too much to this information except for this. For our viewers and listeners, you all can make a difference. You may not be that woman that is facing this decision. You may not be the man who's with the woman who's facing this decision. Maybe you don't even know someone who's facing this decision, but it's still up to us to make a difference in the community. So reach out to A Place for Women in Waipio and find out how you can help, whether it's financially or whether you can give of your time and treasure. And there are other pregnancy resource centers around the island. Plug in, find out what's around you, and be that beacon of hope that that Stacey referred to. So let's leave it at this, Stacey. Why don't you give your information, your website, so that people can go and learn more.
Okay, you can go to oahupregnancycenter.com and check it out. And there is a link to the donor page. It's apfwdonors.com as well.
Yep, and then on the Hawaii Family Forum website, we list all of the pregnancy resource centers, and we make it easy. We have the donate page right there too for them. So go and give some money, pray, 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 pray. They need your help. Stacey, thank you so much for sharing your mana'o with us today.
Thank you, Eva. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Yes, and for the rest of you, we will see you all next week. Mahalo, everybody.